Oh, my world changed dramatically. My world changed dramatically. When you're fearful, you're stagnant.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like you have this disability, right? Like
Yeah.
you're 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 so fearful that it stops your creativity. And as a fashion designer, I have to be creative, right? So my creativity was limited because I was so fearful about what other people were going to say about my work.
That is a just an excerpt of a powerful conversation that I was able to hold with this next person, incredible fashion scholar, renowned fashion scholar, and professional development strategist, Dr. Tamika Ellington. I I'm gonna tell everybody, like I said, that's just an excerpt. I encourage you to go back to the Black Fashion World Foundation YouTube channel and listen to that entire segment. If I ever questioned, or if anybody ever questioned, do you want to know what a true fashion scholar is? Check out that interview, and you're going to find out tonight. Um, After this segment, we're going to have closing out a finale keynote message with Ron Donovan, and I said, she's going to set Ron up. I already know. So I already know this conversation is going to be so much deeper than just a career talk, but you have to check out that video of how you can't see this print behind me right now, but check out that video. It's incredible how someone can look through your screen and give you education because they are a scholar. So thank you, Dr. Ellington, for joining us. I am looking forward to this.
And you know what? You look just as refreshed as you did this morning when I saw you talking to Ruth.
Woo, well, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Oh my gosh, it has been, I'm telling you what, almost at the end. I don't believe, I'm still in awe of everything that has happened, that is happening, because it's not done. We're gonna have a meet and greet after we finish with you and after Ron. Um, Definitely right about now, it's the anointing carrying me.
Yes, yes,
Um,
absolutely. I can see it. I mean, you look anointed, honey.
oh, thanks. See, here she go. Here she go. Here she go. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be fun. I already know. I'm gonna go back to that video. Thank you. I'm gonna go back to that segment.
Okay.
And I want to tell Chris, I don't know if she's thinking. Let me stop too real quick. I want to send a shout out. I haven't done this in 2 days. I have to make sure that I send an incredible shout out to Park Boulevard Productions. You know, you all have been talking about me, but your team matters. Park Boulevard is phenomenal. So I hope they're listening. I hope they hear me. They're based in Brooklyn, but they're not limited to Brooklyn, New York. All right. So they are incredible to work with. So thank you to them. When we were going through the run of show and preparing everything, and I had the video of us, and she said, "Do you want to put it here?" And I said, "No." And then I thought about it, and I said, "You know what, Chris? Yeah, yeah." And this is why, because she set us up for this conversation. Because you're a fashion scholar, but you're a professional development strategist. And that's what this
Yes.
whole event really is about. And
Absolutely.
fear
Yes.
is, look, I've dealt with fear. Let's be real. But you were candid and you talked about that fear and how you dealt with it. And I know somebody else listening to this conversation might be dealing with fear right now, especially right now while we're navigating COVID.
Yes.
I think we still have some more time to go, but let's not talk about that right now. So talk about, because you have some books out about you have a book out, Make Fear Your Superpower.
Yes. Yes. Actually,
Go
yeah.
to
Here's
book.
here's the book here. Make fear your superpower. Yes.
I'm gonna get that book, and I want to get that book to somebody. I'm gonna buy the book. and I want to give it to somebody. And I want to say this now before we get into this conversation, because choose a number. I don't know, any number, and we'll give it to that person.
Okay. Okay. This morning, Ruth chose 21, so I don't want to choose that one. So I'm going to choose number 44 because I'm 44 years old and I'm still glamorous. So number 44.
Girl, you look good. You know I'm older than
44.
you, right? You know I'm older than you, right?
What?
I'm going to be 51 on Thursday.
Oh, beautiful.
44. So 44
yes.
is Kendra Esteem. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly. Please forgive me if I'm not. It's spelled Estime. But I will be in touch with you no later than Tuesday, so I can get your details, so I can get the book and get it shipped to you. So tell us a little bit about this book, and then we're going to talk the career of a fashion scholar. But let's talk about that because this is an issue. What is this book about?
You know, I wrote the book because I lived a lot of my life in fear. I lived a lot of my lifetime as a young person in fear. I grew up in the inner city of Cleveland, in the rough neighborhoods of Cleveland, and having to fight for every single thing that I got. You know, having to fight all throughout high school, having to fight my brother, having to fight everybody. You know, I mean, when you're in the ghetto, it's like if you don't fight, then you'll get taken advantage of. And so I always felt like I was on guard. I had to be on guard in everything that I did. Even when I became a professional, it took a long time for me to be able to release that feeling of having to be on guard. And when I wrote Make Fear Your Superpower, that book was a way for me to really digest and become who I am as a woman. Who I am as a scholar, who I am as an empowerment coach, professional development strategist. It really kind of allowed me to take a look at my life and all the lessons that I've learned and to put it in a package so that I can be able to take the fire that I have and to be able to pass that fire on to somebody else. And so in the book, I talk about various different kinds of fear. You know,
all right. Take your
for
time.
some reason, I hear it echo.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason, I hear it echo. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, but I was saying that in the book, I talk about several different types of fear. A fear of your voice. I'm sorry, I hear an echo for some reason. As I'm speaking, my voice is coming back to me.
Okay, but see, the devil is a liar because he's trying to interrupt your conversations because you have something mighty to say. But it's all right. We're going to take our time because we have time and they'll get it fixed.
Yes.
And
okay.
Yeah, take your time. Y'all, let's just give her one moment. This is the virtual world that we live in. But just know that when she's about to speak to you, it's going to be something very powerful. They'll get her reconnected in just a moment. I want to announce the winner of that book again. Oh, wait a minute. It was 44. So that was Kendra Estime. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. I do want to remind you that after my conversation with Dr. Ellington, messing up my head. Sorry. After my conversation with Dr. Ellington, we will have a meet and greet. Sorry. After the conversation with Dr. Ellington, we will have Ron Donovan. He's going to deliver a powerful keynote message just to wrap this whole segment up. And we will have a meet and greet from 8 to 8:45. I love y'all, but I might have to tap out of there and get a little sleep. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I do want to remind you that the live booths will be open. You can stop by those booths. We have Dress for Success. She had Tracy Springer, I'm sorry, who's the director of the Allentown Dress for Success. She has Franklin Myrtle in there, who's a celebrity stylist. You want to stop by, you can chat with him one-on-one. We have my milliner, actually, Lisa McFadden, who's an incredible milliner. You know, you definitely want to check her out and get you some cool hats to wear on campus or career changes or just around the neighborhood. We have Sheen Magazine. Definitely want to stop by Sheen Magazine. Who am I missing? We have Erica Harding with Bunton with Lismore Women's Wear. You definitely want to stop by there and chat with her too. Find out about the wares. Some of the other things you might want to refresh your screen too. We also have, I got the event replay passes fixed, I believe. So I believe that you can now purchase those passes. I have extended that price to $19.99 to April 27th. So you will have 30 days of watching the replay passes. The value on it is far more than 19. I had it priced at 39, but it really exceeds that. I mean, 79, 100, it really exceeds that. We're talking 2 days, a day and a half really of interviews with 18 powerhouses. So because of COVID, we are extending that price for $19.99. And I have Dr. Ellington back, and she's about to hit y'all with some power. I already know. You see, that's why that line went out, to try to hold you back from coming forward with that power, because you already said earlier about that fear, how you can pass that fire on. So pick up where we were on that book about making fear your superpower.
Yes. And so, you know, in that book, I talk about various different types of fear that we have, such as a fear of your voice, basically meaning that you don't believe that what you have to say is something that matters to others, or what you have to say is not worthy of being said. I talk in the book about as Black females, as dark skinned Black females with kinky hair, you know, we have issue a lot of times with our beauty. So I talk about a fear of one's own beauty. That's something that I struggle with over the years. You know, being in fashion, it's like I have this love-hate relationship with fashion, because there's this dominant view of what beauty is supposed to be like. And people like me don't usually fit in that realm, you know? In the book, I also talk about a fear of public speaking. I talk about a fear of success. I am the first person in my family to go off to college. I'm the first person in my family to earn a PhD, to have ever worked in a corporate environment. And when you are the first, and I'm sure there's probably some people out there that are also first generation, first people in their family to go to college. When you're first, there's a lot of pressure put on you. And I talk about that pressure and how, you know, I had a fear that if I became too successful, that the people that I was grown up with, my family members, my friends, they wouldn't know how to relate to me. And I felt like, you know, if I continued to grow and continue to be successful, that I would lose all the people that I was connected to. You know, so I talk deep about that. I also talk about a fear of, you know, humiliation, a fear of mistakes, because a lot of times people don't do what they really are passionate about doing, do what they know that they're called to do, is because they're afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of being humiliated. And so, you know, I talk a lot about how we have to get beyond that. You know, a mistake is just a way in which you can learn, you know, what not to do the next time. And so I talk about, you know, fear of mistakes, a fear of humiliation. I also talk about a fear of the unknown, because a lot of us, and that's just to encapsulate everything, you know, we all have a fear of not knowing what's going to happen. You know, fear really is something that Lisa Nichols calls, I think she said it's false. Oh my goodness, I can't even.
False evidence appearing real.
Yes, real. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's something that we make up in our mind, like something that has not even happened yet.
Right,
and, you know, it's something that we condition ourselves to believe that's going to happen before anything even happens. And so it's almost like it's a mental psych out, you know, we psych ourselves out, and it makes us stagnant, you know, when we have that fear.
See what I mean, y'all?
We ain't even got started yet, Carla.
You know what I mean? Oh, look. let's Let's go to the career portion, and then we're going to circle back
Yes.
around, because in
Okay.
that interview, you hear her, that excerpt of that interview, you hear her talk about how her world changed. So I encourage you, the book, get the book. Yeah. So fashion scholar, career as a fashion scholar. What does that take? What is that? I mean, I love history, but does that mean I could be a fashion scholar? What does it take?
We first of all, let me just say this. In our community as Black people, we need fashion scholars in our industry. There is probably, I can count on two hands how many fashion scholars there are that's in the industry, that it's actively producing research, that's actively going to international conferences to show and display their work. I mean, there is such a small number of us. We need more fashion scholars. The universities need more fashion scholars because our Black students don't have anybody that looks like us. If they go to a predominantly white school, they will be lucky to get one Black professor during their whole educational career. We need Black scholars. We do. We really, really do. And what it takes typically is, it depends. If you want to be a fashion design scholar, then the terminal degree that you need is a Master's of Fine Arts. However, as Black people, I would say that you really need to have a PhD, because as a Master of Fine Arts, you're still going to be, looked at in a lower classification than your white colleagues. So if you
Wow.
have that PhD, that's at least going to get you level with everybody else. And trust me,
Yeah.
I've experienced that. I've experienced it. So I knew that when it was my turn to decide whether I was going to get an MFA or whether I was going to get a PhD, I said, there's no way that I can be up in this white institution with all of these white people and only have a Master's of Fine Arts like all of these other people. I need to be higher, because that's the only way they're going to see me as equal, if I'm higher. So as a fashion scholar, to be a true fashion scholar, you should try to strive to get a PhD. You really should. There's various different kinds of areas within fashion that you can study. My particular area of love is looking at Black beauty and hair specifically. Most of my research is based on Black hair, but a lot of my other colleagues, they study retail. I have a girlfriend of mine who is from Barbados, and she loves doing research on those those micro entrepreneurs that are in Barbados, and these women that have these businesses on the side of the road, and they sell their craft, so she studies those women. So there's a lot in the fashion industry that you can study. Definitely history is something that is oftentimes studied. It's important to study Black history, especially too, because if we don't tell our history, nobody else is going to tell it. And so if you want to be a fashion scholar and you want to study history, try your best to focus on Black fashion history, because our story is not being told. So it's a lot of, there's so many options. You're not just stuck to just one thing. That's what I love about being a fashion scholar, is that I can really, whatever it is I'm passionate about, I can study whatever that is. As long as I hit that with excellence, then I can do whatever I want. Yeah.
So when you think about the job description of a fashion scholar, how do you describe it?
Well, you definitely have to have a terminal degree. So, like I said, either that's a Master's of Fine Arts or either that's a PhD. You have to, if you are just starting out, maybe you are someone who just finished college, you just finished up your PhD, they're going to want you to have some presentation skills. So while you're in your graduate program, I would suggest that you get connected with some professors that will mentor you through going through research conferences and presenting your work. The more times you can present and show whomever your prospective employer is that you know how to do research and that you know how to present that research, the better your chances will be of you getting a position. Also, you're going to have some kind of a teaching record. So while you're in graduate school, try to, if you can, have an assistantship. An assistantship is a way that you can get your schooling paid for free. You can actually go to school for free. You can work for the university for 10 or 20 hours. maybe working in as a clerical staff, or maybe working as a research assistant, or working as a teaching assistant. I would definitely suggest that you work either as a research assistant or a teaching assistant, because once you get that experience as a graduate student, you'll also be able to take that in with you, when you're applying for a full-time job. So those are the things, the things that they look for the most is, what kind of research have you done? So they're going to be looking at your Master's of Fine Arts thesis, proposal, whatever it is that you want to do for your thesis, or they're going to be looking at your PhD or EDD dissertation topic. What did you study while you were in school for your PhD? They're going to be looking to see if you know how to teach. They're going to also be looking to see if you've done any kind of service work. Part of being a professor is also that you have to serve the university in which you work for. So are you a community-based person? Are you willing to get out into the community to help and serve other people? So those are the three things: your research, your teaching, and your service.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you develop some of those skills? What are some of the activities that a person should take on, books they should read? I don't think you can do it yourself, but what are some of the things that a person should do to develop those skills?
Well, one of the things, the first thing that came to my mind as you were saying that is, please be careful about what school you decide that you want to go to. If you want to become a fashion scholar, go to some of the top fashion graduate programs that are in the country. We have some great graduate programs that are in our country. High scholar research work that they do there. So if you can, do your research, make sure that you go to a really good school. Make sure that you get connected with a professor who can mentor you through and help you on that journey. But get as much research under your belt as you can. Try to present at least one thing. And also too, if you have the opportunity, try to publish at least one paper, an article in a journal before you graduate from your graduate program, because that also will help give you a leg up. As Black people, we need all the leg ups that we can get.
Mm-hmm. You speaking truth.
Yes, that's right.
What are several questions ran through my mind, and I'm thinking time. Individuals that want to pursue a career as a fashion scholar, student, career changer, if they don't have the support of their family, or what words do you offer to the family, and what words do you offer to the person who's pursuing that career without the support?
You know what? Honestly, and I'm just about to be real about this. This is just my experience, okay? Like I said before, I am first generation. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. So my family already thought that I was crazy because I wanted to go to college. Me becoming a fashion scholar was something that was so beyond what they had ever thought could even possibly happen. And so honestly, for many, many years, I never really talked to my family about what it was that I did. They really wouldn't understand it anyway. The fact that I do research, they're going to be like, research about what? They're not going to quite understand it. They know that I teach, they understand teaching, but research and traveling and going to different exhibitions around the world, they're not quite going to be able to understand and grasp what that means. And so really what I would say, and this is just, like I said, again, from my perspective, this is just from what I've had to live through. If you truly want to be a fashion scholar, regardless of what your family has to say, do what you're passionate about. Do it and do it well. Do it with excellence. Anything that you do, whatever it is you decide to do in your lifetime, do it with excellence, regardless of what anybody has to say, friends, families, whoever it is, colleagues, because some of your colleagues may not have your best interest in heart either, and they won't want to see you succeed. So if something that you are passionate about, if you really want to do it, regardless of what anybody has to say, I don't care who it is. You know what, Carla, I'm about to be real, okay? Real.
Do
okay.
It.
I unfortunately had to end a 14-year marriage because my husband was not in line with what my calling was. I had to end that marriage so that I can continue on with my calling. So again, I wasn't even I couldn't even fathom allowing my husband to stop me from what it was I know I was called to do. So if you are called to be a researcher, if you're called to be a scholar and an educator, and you want to, put that stamp on this world, and you want to help our students, you have to do what you have to do, regardless of what anybody has to say, regardless. I love you,
Thank you.
Carla.
Love you too. Thank you for your transparency.
Yeah,
I knew that, but I would dare not tell nobody that. I would dare
I
not
know.
ask you that.
I know. But that's just me. I have to be authentic. I'm always a very authentic. I got to be who I am. There's no
See,
sugarcoating. I think of everything as a learning experience. And so if I've learned from something, I'm willing to share that information with anybody else.
see, this is why I told you this conversation right here. I want to share with you all. She's this woman she's had exhibitions as far as Beijing, China, and that's not the limit.
Yeah.
So this is someone who is giving herself to preserve us, our history, and not just the history, but really digging down into it. Like I said, you have to go back to the conversation that she and I had last summer and listen. She said, her particular interest is hair, and how she educated me on, I think it was the locks, and how that really came about. I'm not going to go there because I'll distort the well, I won't, but we're going to stay here. But go back to that conversation and listen to her talk about that. You really, for me, conversating with her, I really have grown. I mean, I love being Black. I welcome my culture. I mean, come on, I have an organization for Black people, but it's given me a more of a self-esteem, more of an understanding, listening to her talk about the slaves and how their hair locked being on the ships. And you have to go back to that conversation. That's what being a fashion scholar is about for me. She's already put that call out there. What are some smart goals that someone can adapt toward on their path for this career, and realistic timelines they can put in with them?
Typically, to finish a PhD, it takes about, I would say, if you have the ability to go to school full time, it's probably going to take you about 4 years to 5 years. If you have to go to school part time, it'll probably take you maybe 6 to 7 years. But whatever your timeline is, that's the timeline that you have. But a realistic goal that I would say that I would try my best to find out what it is you're passionate about. Because one thing about being a fashion scholar is that you can't be all over the place with what you're researching. You have to find what you want to study, be passionate about whatever that topic is, and then stick with it because you want to become known for something. So I am known in the industry for the one, if anybody wants to know about Black hair, they come to me. And so you want to find that topic that you're so passionate about that you're willing to basically take your whole career and study that one thing. That's the goal that I have for you, is to find that thing that you're passionate about and learn as much as you can about it and share that knowledge with everybody else. What do you want to be known for? When people say your name, what do you want them to say after your name?
That's powerful. That is powerful.
And also too, I would recommend, again, I'm biased because I'm a Black woman and we need Black scholars. Study something about us. Study us, because nobody else is doing it. If we don't do it, nobody else will do it. So study about us. Learn about your heritage. Learn about, different African tribes. So not only do I study about Black hair, but all the design research that I do. I'm a designer. So I design art pieces that go around the world, that I go and exhibit different places. every single piece of art that I've ever designed has been inspired by an African culture. So I have pieces that are designed and inspired by the Ashanti tribe in Ghana. I have pieces that are inspired by the Basotho tribe in South Africa. I have pieces that are inspired by the Dongon tribe in Mali. So the reason why I decided to do that is because I want to learn more about me. I want to know who I am, and I want to be able to bring that knowledge to other people, because when they think about Africa, to be truthfully honest, they're not thinking about beauty. They're thinking about, something else that's not realistically who we are. And so if for me as a Black female, an African American Black female, it was important for me to bring as much knowledge to myself and then share that with other people. So if you want to be a fashion scholar, study us, learn about us, and speak that to everybody else.
Mm. Well, I'm going to ask the question that I ask everybody, because I know they want to know, and I never ask anybody their income because that's personal. But people want to know.
Yes,
I try to
course.
ask questions people want to know. Income wise, starting out, scaling up, and the progressions and the timelines, what can people expect?
It depends on what university you go to. Research One University, Research One meaning they are a top-notch research institution. Their faculty will probably have a 1 to 2 classes that they teach every semester, and the rest of their time they're doing research. So those Research One institutions are going to probably pay a little bit higher than, say, a Research Two institution. Kent State University is considered a Research Two institution. They're trying to get to a Research One, but it takes some time, because a Research One is a different culture than a Research Two institution. So, it depends on what school you go to. If you go to a small community college, it's gonna be a different pay scale, than going to a 4-year large university. So it just depends on where you go. But on average, I would say as a new assistant professor starting out, the salary range is going to be anywhere from between, and this is probably a pretty big gap, but anywhere from between 45 and 65,000. It depends again on whatever college you go to.
Okay, this is good.
Yeah.
What are some of the practices you put in place that have made you successful and will continue to help you excel?
Wow. I was always authentic, always true to who I am, always, willing to just be unapologetically me. Um, I would have to say that I remember when I was starting out, a mentor, and I would suggest that if you don't have a mentor, another goal of yours should be to find a mentor. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of Black people in our industry, like I said before. If you have someone that's a faculty member of yours, whether they're Black or white, if they're a great scholar and you admire what they do, latch on to that person, find a mentor. I was lucky enough to have an amazing woman, a Black woman, who has now since retired. She was one of the first fashion scholars in our industry. She started back in like the 1960s is when she started doing her research. And I was blessed enough to be able to have her mentor me. And when I first told her, what I wanted to study, I told her that I wanted to study Black hair. I told her I wanted to do my design research based on African cultures and folklore. And she tried to dissuade me from doing that. She said, because our research, the research that we do is not seen as rigorous, the research that we do is not seen as valid as other people. She said, Tamika, if you do that kind of research, I'm worried that you won't get tenure and promotion. Tenure and promotion is what all scholars strive to get. Tenure is when you basically you get the opportunity to be tenured at a position. You always have a job. You won't be able to, no one can be able to take you away from that job unless you do something illegal, right? So once you become tenured, you have a job for life. Once you get promoted from assistant to associate professor, of course, more money comes with that, more prestige comes with that. And so as a scholar, the thing that you want is to try to get tenure and promotion. And so my mentor told me, she said, if you do that kind of research, I'm afraid that you won't get tenure and promotion. And I thought a lot about what she said. And I really honestly considered doing what she told me to do, but I just knew within my heart, I just couldn't do it. Because this was going to be something that I was going to be spending most of my time on. I knew I wanted to do a great job at it. I could only do a great job with the work that I really wanted to do. And so, that became really important for me to show other people that, yeah, you know what? Doing research about Black people is rigorous work. Doing research about Black people is important work to do. And so that's kind of, how things progressed with me. And another skill that I picked up again was the whole skill of not really caring what other people thought about me. I spent the first 2 years of my career in fear. I'm the very first Black professor that the School of Fashion at Kent State University has ever had. And when I got the position, I had to get it by fighting my way through the door. And so knowing that I came in that way, I had this heavy, heavy imposter syndrome, this heavy, heavy feeling of I didn't deserve to be in that space. I didn't belong in that space because my colleagues made me feel as though I didn't really belong. They didn't want me to be there in the first place. And so I had to get to a point where I had to have an understanding that, you know what, I'm not here to serve those people. I'm here to serve the people that want to be served. And I'm a very spiritual person as well. I am here to display the gifts that my creator gave to me. Mm-hmm. And I can't do that if I'm fearful. If I'm fearful, I can't display. I can't put on, up for show the wonderful talents that my creator gave to me. And so it became very important for me not to care. And that's really how I've been able to get over the whole fact that my family and I still don't really have the greatest relationship because they don't understand me. And so if I cared about what people thought, then I'm sure as high as I've been able to get in my career, I would not have been able to get that high because I would have been too afraid of, losing people. I would have been too afraid of, the fact that I wasn't pleasing everybody. You have to do what you have to do and don't worry about what anybody around you has to say.
The professional development strategist. After hearing this interview, after hearing about, that role, that responsibility of being a fashion scholar, what do you say their next step should be to pursuing a career as a fashion scholar?
Their next step should be to finish their undergraduate program, get good grades so that you can get into a graduate school program. One of the things that I noticed about what also differentiated me from my colleagues was that I also have industry experience. So most of my colleagues, they started off their bachelor's degree in fashion, and then they went directly to a master's degree. Some of those that have PhDs went then from their master's directly to a PhD, and they have never, ever worked in the fashion industry. And so what I would recommend to you also, once you finish undergraduate, go and work in the fashion industry for a couple years, 3, 4, 5 years. Get some experience working in the industry, because once you get into the classroom and you're able to talk to the students about your real life examples and real life experiences being in the fashion industry, the level of respect that the students will have for you will just go up. I've heard students talk to me about the fact that they didn't really trust what other faculty said to them because those faculty have never worked in the industry. So my suggestion to you would be graduate from undergrad, go and work in the fashion industry 3, 4, 5 years, Go get your master's degree, go get that PhD. If you want to go back into the industry, go back into the industry for a little bit, and then, but go back and get that PhD, and then you'll be on your way. But get that industry experience, because students really have a higher level of respect for you when you know what you're talking about instead of it just coming from a book.
and just adding to that, like I said earlier in the start of the conversation, when somebody can look through your screen to your picture and elaborate and educate you on what you have in your house, that's a real scholar. All right, let me refresh my screen because we got some questions that have filled up this chat.
Okay.
Then we're gonna wrap up because y'all don't understand. Dr. Ellington loves to interact with people, and you see
yes,
her.
I do. That's yes.
That passion for it. So
yes,
if you think about that, have that passion. Is there a way to write and publish books about Black fashion history now as an undergraduate?
As an undergraduate, I would say yes, you can. Whether you'll get a contract from a publisher that is will probably be quite difficult, because typically a publishing company is only going to work with a scholar. And as an undergraduate, you're not really there yet. You're not a scholar yet. You can do some research. I mean, we have the wonderful world of Amazon now, right? You can go and publish your books on Amazon, or, self-publish someplace else and start, putting your books out that way. But if you want a contract with a major publishing company, they are not going to, they're not going to work with a young person that is very fresh. They want somebody that has had experience and doing it that way. But again, like I said, if you have a passion for that, don't let that stop you. Self-publish. We have the capability nowadays to be able to self-publish. So do that.
Good evening, Dr. Ellington. Wouldn't you say that since it's about us on the awoke stage, since our truth that has been on blast, my screen flipped, 1 second, it's high time that we focus on us?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have a comment. Someone says, this woman right here is bringing me to tears. Wow. I told y'all. I told you. Do you think that a constant industry participation will serve to connect the person as an undergrad so as to build their brand? Should I reread that?
Yeah, please.
Do you think that a constant industry participation would serve to connect the person as an undergrad so as to build their brand?
Okay, if I think I understand what this young person is saying, is do they need to go and work and maybe have some internship experiences, maybe work in the industry before they can build their own brand? I would say, work in the industry if you can. I mean, a lot of our top designers, before they develop their own brand, have worked for other designers or have worked for other large companies. So the more experience you have, the better off you'll be. But if you feel like, you have the necessary tools to be able to develop your brand without going and working for someone, then, then do that. I mean, I can't tell you what your skill level is. You know what your skill level is. And so if you feel like you need to go and get that extra experience, do that before you begin. Because if you want to be an entrepreneur, the last thing you want to be is an entrepreneur who doesn't make any money, right? That's the last thing you want, is to be an entrepreneur who does not make any money. So get the experience so that when you do start and build your own brand, you'll know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. So I can take one more question for the audience, and then I am going to close out with a couple of questions in the time that we have with Dr. Ellington. Sorry for the I do want to remind people that there is an opportunity for a free assessment of your gifts, those innate abilities, your leadership profile on the blackfashioncareerday.org webpage. It is free. I've taken the assessment. I'm gonna tell you, it is dead on. That's why even in the points you don't want it to be. That's why I put it out there for you. At the same time, you can also access it through the Black Fashion World virtual booth. There's a link there for you too. Screen flipped. So I want to remind you of that. The replay passes, I think I got that updated correctly. So now you can purchase that. It has been extended due to COVID at the rate of $19.99. Okay, she's clarifying the question. Okay, I'm not clear. Maybe put it in a different way. Put the question in a different way. I want to make sure I ask it correctly. I'm not clear right now. So yes, so that, and I know there's a little bit of a delay too. While we're waiting on that question to come through, food for thought. What are some closing remarks that you have for people? Well, I don't want to ask that yet until I know there's a delay though. Well, Dr. Ellington, what you have the exhibit, here it is. Aren't we brand building as we go along?
Kind of. I would say kind of. If you're brand building based off of your own person, the more experiences you have, of course, the stronger your brand will be. I mean, kind of, I would say maybe you might, but again, I would say don't start that brand until you are ready and you know what you're doing. Not saying that you have to be perfect, because no one will ever be perfect and be perfectly ready when it's time. But just have as much information, as much knowledge as you can before you step out there. It's hard for Black designers. I mean, and that's the reason why Carla started the Black fashion world, because it's hard for us. And so you want to, when you step out into the industry as your own brand, maybe a namesake brand, whatever your name might be, you want to do it and you want to go out and be able to step out in excellence, be able to go out and know what you're talking about. Because if you don't, you're gonna get shut down real fast. So know what you're talking about. Know who your customer market is. That's very, very important. Is if you don't know who your client is, then your business really is not going to be able to do well. So know who your client is. That'll help you develop, the depth of your brand. But it takes time. It takes some time to get that off the ground. And I can't say, I don't know, who you are, what your skill level is. Only you do. If you know that you're ready, then you do it. But, get as much information as you can before you start.
This has been phenomenal. I knew it would be. I knew this powerhouse right here was going to bring it. So in closing thoughts, what food for thought would you share with anybody considering a career as a fashion scholar?
Do it. We need you. We need you. And when you do it with excellence. When you do it with consistency. Don't be afraid to put your work out there. Like I said, my first 2 years, I was stagnant, honey. I was too scared. I was too afraid because I knew I had people watching me and I was afraid to make a mistake. But do it. Don't be afraid. Put your stuff out there. The more you do it, the better you'll get over the years. I look at, the first couple pieces that I made to put on exhibit was not nearly as good as the pieces that I created later on in my career. So do it with excellence, do it with consistency, and don't be afraid.
Awesome. Dr. Ellington, thank you.
You're welcome.
Love you.
Love you too.
Kisses.
Love you too.
I knew.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you. We're gonna close this segment out. Give us a few moments. At 7:45, Ron Donovan, who we've had the pleasure of hearing from earlier today, is going to come back with that so eloquent voice that he has, and he is going to close us out. As he mentioned earlier today, he's an outcome actualization coach, soul strategist. So he's going to put that ice cream on the day, or the cherry, maybe I should say. He's going to top us off. Then we will have an opportunity to go into the AirMeet platform and actually meet and chat one-on-one. I want to hear your feedback about the event so we can continue to build. I'm going to come back before everybody. Give me a week, but I am going to send out a message so we can meet in 2 weeks again. And I want to find out what you've done, what notes you've taken from this day and a half of activities to help you start working on that plan, that actionable career plan. So with that said, thank you again, Dr. Ellington, and I will see everybody back at 7:45.